Hi, everyone. It's John Galante, president of AE Ventures, here again with another in our series of Builder Innovator webcasts. Today, we have a very interesting and practical topic, which is about increasing new home sales without increasing marketing budget. Josh Paul, who is the CEO and founder of Homebuilder Ops, and Brent Campbell, who's the corporate VP of sales for Mungo Homes. Now, a little bit about these gentlemen and these companies. They're both in that 20 to 25 years of experience range. Josh in both home building and in digital marketing and sales automation, and Brent almost entirely on the home building side of things. And Mungo Homes is a pretty darn big builder, 3,500 plus units built this year in South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and Georgia. So that's Southeast Piedmont Crescent. And then Homebuilder Ops has been around since 2023. And Josh has been working in this specialty area for years, even before the founding of the company. So here's the way things are going to work today. We're going to walk through the key concepts around this idea of increasing home sales without increasing the marketing budget. And it's going to be a tour of the Homebuilder Ops platform, which is a HubSpot-based platform, and how that delivers the benefits that we're talking through. And we're going to hear from Brent along the way what his experience has been with Mungo Homes in implementing that platform and the results that have been realized. So that's the format.
All right. Thanks, John. I really appreciate this opportunity. This is really exciting. Brent and I are excited to kind of take you through not only the concepts and the mindset shifts, but the actual results that builders can expect. And so we're going to cover the three biggest opportunities today. So again, as John said, we are talking about increasing sales. But when most people think about increasing sales, they think about more leads. But what we've discovered is that through optimizing your conversion rates, your handoffs, and your sales operation, you don't need more leads. There are a lot of buyers who are still shopping and who want to talk to you in your existing database and in your funnel today. So we're going to talk about how to convert more leads into sales. This is the what we are aiming for. And then in this discussion, we're going to get into the how to actually make it happen. Growth through visibility. A lot of times there are opportunities in your funnel and in your existing CRM that you don't know about and your team doesn't know about because the visibility might not be there. And when you expand that visibility and open that up to your leadership team, your sales management team, and your salespeople in the trenches, that uncovers a lot of opportunities that they could be following up with today, this week, this month. And then we're going to talk about using sales enablement tools and marketing automation tools to maximize your salesperson's time. So they are squeezing, they're selling more without adding work to their plate. How's that sound, John?
Take it away. Keep it going.
Ways that you can convert more leads into new home sales. So Brent, I want to open it up to you for a second. You being the executive in this space, how do you view turning more leads into sales? We all know, pouring more money into ads will generate more leads. But when we talk about how to turn those leads into buyers under contract, where does your mind go? How do you coach your team there?
Yeah, I mean, really, it just gives us the opportunity to kind of meet buyers where they are in the process. A lot of leads come through our online team, and then they get handed off to our on-site team, and just maximizing the amount of information that we can pass between the two different sides of our team for the betterment of the customer is really one of the things that we find very useful with the platform. And having visibility to that and having the team to see what the other team members in our organization are doing with that customer and the communication that's happened is key to all of that.
One of the things that we talk about a lot is keeping your focus on what matters through core metrics. We don't want to overwhelm people with metrics, but some of those core metrics that are not often talked about, time to connecting with somebody, time to building trust with them, time to building rapport. And if you can decrease that time through your process through content, through video, it makes a big difference, and it doesn't add a big load to your sales team. So a lot of this happens on the OSC side, but when we're talking about the CSM or the NHA, NHC, community-based salesperson side, that time to trust is critical.
I mean, obviously, it's definitely building the rapport first and having that foundation of understanding what the buyer's mission is and finding ways to connect with that mission and get them into the right home for them at where they're at in their life. And just that communication piece from marketing to our online team to our on-site team is key, and the platform gives us the visibility to all of that.
Hey, Brent, I'm curious about kind of the division of labor between your online sales counselors, OSCs, and then your field salespeople or who are at the models and such. So these 5 bullets that Josh has laid out here, I mean, is there a division of labor on this? I'm assuming that the contact and initial connection stuff is going to be the online sales counselor, but where is the handoff, or are they handling some of the engagement and rapport building and trust building even before it gets handed off to the field sales folks?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of time they're trying to find out what the buyer's mission in it is and what's, making them make the change in their life right now. And then they hand that information off to the sales team and in our models, and just connecting with that buyer at that level. And also the speed of connection is important too. Time to contact and time to connection is huge. And so our team being able to take the information and connect with that buyer is crucial for sure.
And this football metaphor of handoffs, right? And we know the worst thing that can happen with a handoff, because you're probably an SEC fan, but is a fumble, right? Like, how do we keep the handoffs going fast, but without fumbles too?
A lot of times our team will record through the notes features in HubSpot or the phone call, information. They'll record a lot of the information for our on-site team to be able to access ahead of time. If there's anything in particular, sometimes our team will message each other through the platform, or they'll even pick up the phone and call and say, hey, listen, we've got an appointment that's coming. This is just some things that you need to know ahead of that appointment to make the most of your time. And just over communication is the key to that.
Yeah. So we've got speed, we've got effectiveness and quality, and we also have fewer errors, right? Fewer fumbles along the way using this tool. Is that an accurate take on it?
That's correct. 100%.
It is. And then those fumbles, if you put it in terms of how it impacts your business, that damages trust. We want to get to the point where somebody trusts you. Somebody who trusts you will lean on you. They're looking for your help through the process. There's things you can do to build that trust and enhance that trust. There's also things you can do to fumble that trust and hurt that trust. And it doesn't matter how charming you are. It doesn't matter how strong your sales messaging is. Sometimes it doesn't matter how amazing your product is and your community is. If that trust isn't there, then you're going to have a hard time getting people to want to move forward in the buying process. We did an industry-wide study. We surveyed 1,000 new home buyers in the beginning of this year. It's in a report called the 2024 New Home Buyer Customer Experience Expectations Report. But one of the things that people talked about is the way that they want to feel after talking to a home builder salesperson. And the top 3 things are: they want to feel knowledgeable, they want to feel confident, they want to feel safe in their decision, and they want to feel understood. Where the technology comes in is being able to do that at scale, being able to systematize the building of trust so you can decrease that time. One of the things we talked about a few minutes ago is that handoff from the OSC to the CSM or the NHA. And Brent laid out some of the things that they do. There's 2 sides of it. One is the community-based salesperson's understanding and knowledge so that they can take the ball and run with it. See, I'm carrying your football metaphor forward, John. And then the second is, what is the customer experience? How do you maintain that? How do you keep that trust and build on that trust? Because the OSC has a very brief time with them. They build some confidence. They say, all right, I've built enough safety and security to move forward to the next step. Now, how do I empower and enrich the community-based salesperson with what they need to take that and build on it, because it's not going to be done completely by the OSC. Brent, can you talk a little bit more about the processes that you have in place for that handoff? And specifically, half of it is technology. The other half is process and training and setting the expectations from your team.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the process that we use is our online team asks the right questions and asks the right follow-up questions to gather the information. And in real time, while the buyer's on the phone, they're using the system to schedule when our on-site team is available. And so that speed to be able to connect with that new home advisor for us is key. And even, whether it's a virtual appointment or an in-person appointment, or in certain situations, phone appointments, just to connect that buyer sooner in their buying process. The faster we can do it, the better. And then just taking that information, that's not just your bedroom count. It's not just, it's how many bedrooms are going to be used as bedrooms and how many are going to be used as other things. Do they need that 5 bedrooms and 2 of them are going to be used for an art studio and an office, just handing that off. And so that new home advisor has that more information that they can connect with that buyer and recap. Hey, listen, I know you talked to Tiffany, but this is what Tiffany told me. Is that still right? And help me understand how you want to live in that home, and just using that to help, I call it the handoff of trust. You're handing off that trust from one of our team members to another at that point.
And Brent, do you have like star performers, at the OSC level in terms of using this tool set, and at the CSM level too, in terms of taking the ball into transition and leveraging the data points as well? What does a star performer look like?
Well, thankfully, everybody on our online sales team is stars. We have a very high performing online sales team, and I'm very proud of what they do. And they kind of are the key to this because they have embraced using the systems, and they work very closely with Josh and his team to optimize. Like when he said, when we find those fumbles, we are very quick to call it out, and Josh's team is very quick to jump on it and diagnose where the problems and the plays are that led to that fumble, right? The miscues. And that's just that constant relationship between our team and Josh's team, just optimizing that process. And then, our on-site team also communicating back, hey, this is where things broke down for me on my end.
Do you find that implementing a tool like this creates more homogeneity of quality of performance? That we're like, maybe pre-tool, you had some real gaps between your stars and your other folks. But I think one of the things that I like to talk about in terms of software and information technology is a lot of focus is on, here's the functionality. But with what the real benefit is kind of the embedded workflows and process engineering that goes in there, and the ability to systematize, in an industry specific way. I mean, do you have that experience with Homebuilders Ops where everybody went up together?
Yeah. I mean, on any team, you have the folks that are kind of hanging back, right? They would just want to keep things the way they were. But little by little, as we show them how this is saving them time and this is shortening the buying cycle, that's when we're winning the hearts and minds of folks to trust the system is not there to be big brother or whatever, but the system is there to help them be better at their job and also serve our customers at a higher level than we were able to before.
Let's continue along that theme of a centralized, easy to use place to hand off information and to capture information. The context of a buyer's situation is easily captured through discovery conversation, in the same way that a handoff can be, one salesperson, one OSC can perfect that handoff. But what you're talking about, Brent, is an entire organization with a high volume of leads coming in, a high level of interest. And so you need a centralized system that creates this machine, including all the way down to context. So, meeting each buyer where they are. It's easy to do if you have 1 or 2 or 3 people in your pipeline. But when you are dealing with hundreds of leads each month or hundreds of leads each quarter, talk about the importance of having a simple system that your team is going to stick to.
Yeah, I mean, simplicity is key. To quote, Jeff Shore, easy equals right. If we make things easy, people will do it. And that's the key to it, is we make it easy and we show the value in using that system, that one-stop platform for all of our, customer-facing communication and management. And it makes their job easier, makes it more effective at their job. At the end of the day, they're not spending all their time doing a lot of admin work. We've automated a lot of things for them so they don't have to think, what do I need to do to move this deal to the next step?
John, you talk to a lot of vendors, a lot of technology people in this industry that support sales and marketing teams. Across the board, do you hear that people say, don't try to boil the ocean? Start small, get some wins, and build. Is that the sentiment that, and Brent, you too, is that your approach?
Well, I think you got to have proof of concept, and that typically takes place at smaller scale, and then you build on it from there, because every instance of implementation is a little bit different. And as much as you like to bring something from another client to your new clients, it may not translate. I like to say the home building industry is the most heterogeneous market in the world. There is not one solution that works for a builder. So, kind of by definition, you're going to need to scale from, getting started with a committed smaller group, and then figure out how to expand the success. That's what I hear and see on a regular basis. I don't know what your experience has been, Brent.
Yeah, I'm very much an early adopter of technology, and Josh will tell you, like, anytime he has an idea or shows me a way to optimize a system, I want everything right now. Like, that's just my nature. But I know not everybody on our team is like that, and I would agree that starting off small and kind of having the building blocks that build upon themselves is the best key to success. Because the first step, I think, to any platform is changing people's habits and how they use it, and getting those habits to be ingrained, and then showing them the value of it. They'll continue it longer term, and they'll go on that journey with you as you add the different pieces of the building blocks to it.
Yeah, and then the question to you, Josh, is how do you support that from a process perspective? How do you kind of support those first trials and efforts, and work through whatever the difficulties are, and then document what success looks like so that it could be shared with the second circle of users? How do you guys support that?
That's a really good point. And it starts with data. We are big proponents and champions in the home building space of making data-driven decisions. And so understanding where in our funnel should we focus to have the most impact on sales. So let's use a real world example. A lot of times, one of the biggest opportunities for builders is after somebody leaves that first appointment, and if they don't go under contract in that first appointment, what is their buyer experience there, and what is the education that we need to give them, and the momentum that we need to instill in the process to get them back in for a second appointment, to be priced out, to tour additional models, to have that second appointment discussion, and hopefully write a contract. So, and when I talk about starting small, I'm not talking about automating the entire or buying process. Let's just take that one experience, that one moment, and identify ways that we can get the right information to the right people at the right time that are going to give us the result that we want. And that is a higher percentage of people coming back in after they leave that first appointment without writing a contract.
So when you're saying small, it's not about a small user group necessarily. It's about a step in the process being optimized, right? And building the bricks that way.
Exactly. And Brent can attest to that. We have they're not small projects, but it's micro focused on improving a single conversion rate or a single metric here and there. But the through thread, and that leads us to kind of the next topic here, is we need the visibility up front to know where to put our time and effort and focus.
What does visibility look like? It's got to look like something.
When we're talking about dashboards, we're talking about reporting. And there's actually, there's a nature in us operations people to want to give the leadership team every report under the sun. And there's a big push, at least from our team, to strip that down and optimize to just the core reports that executives need to see. And then we also pair those reports with a narrative. We have our data analysts going through the data, and rather than, Brent, probably, by your nature, you spend your Sunday afternoons pouring through data, just because I know how you work. But there are a lot of executives that don't do that. They don't have time to do that. They're not inclined to do that. So by having our data analysts understand the why behind different data and different trends, then that can be fed to the executive team. That narrative, that validated narrative, can be fed to the executive team alongside the report, so they can make decisions faster.
So can I ask some questions about all these bullets that are listed out here, like real-time pipeline data? So are you calculating in conversion rates, average conversion rates, or even at the individual rep level, what their conversion rates are, and spitting out kind of a long-term dollar forecast, or what does that look like?
Yes, all of it. So historically, home builders have leaned on lagging indicators. They want to know how many sales went under contract last week or last month. And that gives you just a fraction of the picture. And one of the things that, why we enjoy working with Brent and his team so much is they want to know mid-month how they're doing. They want to make adjustments week by week. They want to know which communities are struggling. So when we're talking about real-time pipeline data, it is at the executive level, being able to view your pipeline, but it's also on the individual community level, and the individual performer level, being able to view that pipeline. We slice it by salesperson. We slice it by source. We slice it by how they came into the system. Was it a walk-in? Was it a web form? Did it come in from Zillow or Realtor.com? So you can see how your pipeline is performing and where things are getting stuck, and where things are piling up, not only in the macro level, but in the micro. So there's no silver bullet, but it helps you understand what you're going to test next.
So you could track lead source, individual rep performance. Brent, are you like calculating your conversion rates out of these data points and trying to understand what those look like, or is that?
Yeah, I mean, we still do that, but that's not the be all end all. Like Josh was saying, one of the things we're working hard on now is identifying those underperforming communities before we have a couple of months of bad sales, and then start matching up. Hey, here's these pool of leads that didn't convert to a contract, but here's what these leads look like that did convert to a contract, and where's the mismatch? Where's the differences, so that we can optimize the leads coming in and get the right leads through our door. Hopefully a little sooner in the process, and just kind of refine those things with our marketing team.
And when we talk about knowing which tactics work, this is something that we get down to that a lot of sales leaders and marketing leaders don't have time to do, but which messaging is working. This is the why behind my pipeline looks the way it does. The messaging, the follow-up cadence, which tactics are working and which are not, which are underperforming, which are overperforming. Stuck deals. Yeah, I want to see all of the appointments that have been completed and the deals that are in that stage that have not been priced out yet. I want to see all of those deals that have been there for more than 14 days. Each builder has a different threshold for what they consider stuck in each stage.
So this gives you a rich broth or stew of ingredients, Brent, to work with in terms of coaching the team at a group level and individually, right?
And also determining whenever deals, if they're stuck or they're not being worked, that we flip them back maybe to our online team, and then flip them back to our marketing team to continue to prospect.
Exactly. It's not enough to know that you have X number of deals in your pipeline for a certain region or for a certain community at a certain stage. Let's say that the stage is you're contacting them, or they've come in for that first appointment. It's not enough to know that you have X number of deals in that stage. You want to know how long they've been in that stage. When was the last time that we reached out to them? And that visibility is helpful on the on the management level, but we do a lot of sales training. We train. We don't train on soft skills. We train on process and tool set and optimizing how you run your day. And when we show that these reports, these deal velocity reports and the stuck in a stage deal reports to on-site salespeople, community-based salespeople, you can see it in their faces. They're like, I had no idea that I hadn't reached out to this person in 10 plus days. I had no idea that this person has been sitting in this stage. And it's not that they don't want to reach out to them. It's that they're busy and hotter leads come in. But the purpose of the systems that we build out on the HubSpot platform is to help people without adding any extra work for the day to their day, move as many leads forward as possible. Because
so self-management becomes part of the deal too, and then that helps them believe in the tool and operate the tool effectively, right? If it becomes not just management coming in from on high and tracking, is that happening with your group, Brent?
Well, I mean, we make a lot of the reports visible to our team so they can self-manage and they can try to spot some of those things themselves to make sure that we don't forget about our customers. You know, our customers, we're building that trust and rapport and they're trusting us to help them along the way. And so we certainly don't want to drop the ball.
It's interesting. So I'm looking at some of the notes that we came into, specifically this third bullet, without losing personalization, right? Like this is a tricky one, right? And I'll go back to the start of the session. It's like you learn something from the client and you said, Josh, they want to feel like they've been heard and understood, right? And then as this long process progresses and different folks are touching that customer, there is a lot of opportunity for the personalized information to get lost along the way. So I'm like, I know it's captured. It sounds like it's captured in the tool set, but how do you make sure that it actually gets considered and consulted by whoever it is that is touching that customer?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where, especially when we get busy, the quality of follow-up and the personalization definitely goes down. And, you know, it's something that I always say whenever the natural cycles in our business happen and things slow down, you wish you would have had a better process as a salesperson. You know, I've made those mistakes before in my own career, and just having that process that you always do follow up at a certain time and you're intentional about it and you take the time, use the tools that are available to you, voice record your notes, record your conversations when you have a phone call, you know, do those things, use some of the AI tools to summarize emails for you so that you can boil down to the most important things. And that's something that we're just starting to convince our team that's best practices for us. You know, it's always hard to change habits and trust the tools and technology if you're a little bit of a skeptic when it comes to those things.
It's just hard to do, right? As a human being, right? Like you have this conversation, you were hoping for X result, you didn't get it. When that conversation ends, you psychologically just want to be through with it and move on to the next thing instead of taking a breath, gathering your wits about you and recording it and doing that analytically without, you know, whatever emotional turmoil you're feeling, because, you know, you're selling part of yourself as well as the product. And when somebody says no, or they don't go somewhere you want them to go, you take it very personally. So it's hard to build those habits for human beings, period.
One of the things that's really important in this process, there are no salespeople that want to have those fumbles, that want to have those generic conversations, that want to go into a conversation blind. So making it, you know, simplicity is one of the core tenets of adoption and sales enablement. So giving them that context in a front and center way where they don't have to dig for it. So when that you talked about how do we make this happen, it is through simplicity. It is by putting that the information that they need at the right time in front of them. Examples are prioritizing opportunities. There's a deal scoring model that we implement, so they can easily see if I have to do 12 follow-ups today, who should I reach out to first? Who's most engaged? No leads falling through the cracks. Giving them a simple view to say, I want to see all the people I haven't touched recently, and I want to see all by where they are in the process. or I want to see all of my deals, all of the opportunities that I'm working through the pipeline. I want to see it by who doesn't have a follow-up task associated with them, so that I can self-manage and set myself up a task. It's a very simple process. You make sure all of your open deals in HubSpot have a next task or a next meeting set associated with them. And then step 2, do your tasks, do your follow-ups, then rinse and repeat. Go make sure none of your open deals are missing a task. Step 2, come in the next morning, do your task. So simplicity and giving them those tools and frameworks is a big part of that.
Hey, Brent, as a leader of these groups, so tell me, what does your cadence look like, your personal cadence for looking at these reports, understanding these reports, developing action out of the reports? What is the cadence and the frequency of the coaching using the data? What does that look like for Mungo?
Well, for me personally, I'm looking at it all the time. And that's one of the things that we're trying to delve in a little bit more and try to meet the sales leaders where they're at. You know, what reports do we want to have in their inbox as soon as they get in their Monday morning or Tuesday morning or every day? You know, what reports are valuable for them? If they're a field sales manager and they're more out in the field coaching, they want some tools that are going to be at their fingertips that are easy to read from maybe a mobile device. And that's kind of where we're at right now, and giving them that one dashboard that has everything that they need to see, rather than having to go to multiple dashboards or you know, pull up different things. And that's something that we find extremely valuable for sure.
And so there may be a daily push and there may be a weekly push that's a little bit more meta and looking at a longer. Do they get like a monthly look at stuff? I mean, are you managing with that sort of those sort of time frames? Do you have like end of the month goals and such? And
that's it, to some extent. You know, we have market-based dashboards that kind of have, you know, high level metrics, and the beauty of what we've set up is that everything is, you can drill down. You know, you can drill down and research the data, and you know, probably the teams that perform the best with using the systems have the managers that are also just as invested in using the system and tools as we expect the team to be.
I like the idea of it being pushed into an email box instead of just sitting in the tool and like, oh, you should consult this, because there's something about the prompt of it. And maybe I'm just old school, and maybe I'm, maybe kids these days don't respond to email or whatever. It needs to be texted them. But I think pushing it gives it some more visibility versus it being in the tool along with everything else you try to do there.
And to Brent's point, it's a multi-pronged approach. These tools are gold for sales managers. So the sales manager, when they have their group meeting, they're pulling up the dashboards. They're using the dashboards in their sales meeting to discuss what's going on, where the opportunities are. And they're using the dashboards. They're pulling up individual dashboards in their one-on-one coaching sessions. It is getting emailed automatically at the beginning of the week or the beginning of each day, a mini dashboard for each individual salesperson. So there's no one way that is going to solve it. But, you know, for instance, our CRM adoption program has about 45 different services and deliverables that we mix and match for each builder over time to get their team using this data and knowing what to do with this data. It's not about the technology. It's not about the data even. It is about helping them sell more. And if you put some data in front of them and they know exactly what to do with it, and they say, oh, you're right, these are some people that came in last week that I haven't followed up with, that is what it's all about.
Cool. So Brent, talk to me about these transparency tools.
I mean, one of the things that we've worked on and rolled out somewhat recently was, you know, our deal velocity reporting, and just trying to understand what our deal velocity is for a particular market or a particular community, because those might change based on the product, based on, you know, the buyer profile, things like that. But then also, you know, the deals that get stuck in certain stages, and having visibility to that. And sometimes it's easy to explain because we have a future phase, and we've got, you know, people kind of piling up as an interest list for the next phase. But sometimes there just might be people that are not managing the CRM appropriately and moving people where they need to move, and maybe getting them back into the OSC funnel or the marketing funnel to pre-prospect. And so having that visibility and for everybody, not just, sales leaders, but everybody has access to those reports so they can self-manage themselves.
Yeah. And there's quick glance insights and the ability to drill deeper, right?
That's 100%.
So
Yep.
it's like part of my experience base is in the, kind of smart home technology. Like there's a lot of information that is passed through those systems, but the UI on that, the user experience of that information is not typically well thought through. So I get all this energy consumption data in a set of tables, and I'm a consumer, and I'm not, an electrical engineer looking to analyze this stuff. So I really think the design of the information is important too in terms of its usability.
One of the things that I think you excel at, Brent, is the idea that it takes strong leadership to hold people accountable in a positive, productive way. What is, before we move to the final topic of the day, what's one big tip for the sales leaders out there when it comes to holding people accountable to your process, moving following up with people, moving deals through the process?
Yeah. And, we oftentimes hear a lot of folks say, well, I don't want to micromanage. Well, accountability is not micromanaging. And I think it's the approach to it and having that trust with your team member to say, listen, I'm here and I'm asking you these questions and I'm trying to teach you new habits because it's going to make you a better salesperson. You're going to be a better, you're better be able to serve your customers at night. And, obviously we're not here working in the home building industry for free. We want to make money, and salespeople, you eat what you kill, right? So it's one of those things that we just really try to show them. We're gonna help you get a better system, and we're going to use the tools that we've set up for you and all of these reports and the visibility you have into this so that you can self-manage your own business like a franchise owner.
I like that. It's a serve the seller mindset. And that's another core part of our adoption framework is this. We are doing this, this data is available. This change is happening. You're getting this feedback because we want to help you sell more. That's bottom line. The final opportunity that we're going to talk about today is maximizing your sales reps' time, your sales agents' time, using sales enablement tools and marketing automation. So have 3 bullets that we're going to discuss here. And this is leveraging the tools that you have available to you to align with buyers' expectations. If they're expecting more contact and more information, if they're expecting you to guide them through the process, you can do that at scale without adding extra work. You can automate outreach. When a new lead comes in, we will send an email, personalized email, a voicemail drop, and a text message automatically that look like it came from the OSC, because we're trying to get to that speed to connection, speed to engagement, and ultimately speed to trust. Another example of this that Brent, you could probably speak to is re-engagement campaigns. Every builder listening to this session today has a database of 5,000, 10,000, 40,000 people that are in their contact database. There are people in that database that are still shopping, but we're not talking to them because they haven't explicitly reached out recently. And so we automate these re-engagement campaigns that bring out hand raisers who are still interested from your database. If your salespeople had to do that on their own, and that takes time, because I know, Brent, you do it both ways. You have your sales team reach out to people that they've met with and that have kind of gone dark on them. But we also do it at scale to bring the colder people out of the database. Can you talk about your experience with automating outreach to ultimately bring more qualified leads back into the funnel?
Yeah, I mean, I call it panning for gold. It's just one of those things that with our re-engagement campaigns we've done, we have always, in each of our markets, we found sales. We found people to raise their hands. We had one recently where they mentioned, I just wish I would have been followed up with. And, that's like a knife through the heart of any sales and marketer probably, but it's one of those things that, that's why we're trying to put these systems in place so that we reach everybody and we don't have anybody fall through the cracks for us. We don't want to have any of those fumbles in that regard, for sure.
You can tell when somebody is giving you digital signals and maybe not filling out a form. I think the home building world needs to embrace some of those signals rather than just somebody who explicitly fills out a form. If they're back on your website, if they're opening your marketing emails, if they're opening your sales emails, they may not be responding and saying, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to sign a contract now. But we have enough information to know these people are worth following up with, to see what their story is. Has their situation changed? And like you said, there's gold in your database.
So Josh, these tool sets, some of it, the functionality is for an active prospect. It's kind of automating some of the typical stock communications with them, or prompting a personalized communication. And then the others are for like the inactive leads, the ghosting, etc., in terms of the nurturing and re-engagement piece. Is that accurate?
Exactly right. If you don't have strategies for both, you're leaving money on the table. And the technology, again, is not central, but it allows you to have both strategies operating at once.
Well, this gets to the time savings for the reps, so that they can do some of that higher level thinking and analysis and self-management as well. If automation is meant to do kind of rote, dull tasks sometimes, and kind of take those off the plate so that people can use their brains and their hearts and really do the thinking about it. And so this is an essential piece of the performance as well, is to take some of the rote and frustrating stuff, or make it a little easier, not to remove it, but to make it a little easier. Is that right, Brent?
Yeah, I mean, that's right. And one of the things I heard from a HubSpot presentation not too long ago is 40% of the salesperson's time is spent doing administrative tasks. And so every minute that we can remove an administrative task from our system and our process is going to be more time they can spend with our customers or re-engaging with our customers after a visit.
Cool. So I think we've walked through all of the functionality you wanted to cover, Josh. I'd just like to turn to Brent and see if you could give us an overall.
Yeah, I mean, we've been, Josh, a year in, and we're going on where I think we're in our second year now together, and just the bits of data that we were able to clear up and even gain clarity to some of the data has always, it's like a trail of breadcrumbs. It's like we get this little piece and Josh says, oh, my team needs to look at this. And then they uncover something that's like much bigger than what we expected and much more valuable from a data standpoint. And, syncing our system with HubSpot, with our ERP software, and having those two systems talk together so that we're getting real-time information at the community level is something that we're embarking on now, which I'm super excited about. That's going to help us give us that peek into community's performance levels well before the sales start to slow down. And so it's a fun journey, and we work well together for sure. And I love Josh's energy as far as like, hey, I've done this for this other builder. What do you think? And we'll say, hey, we need to tweak this for our process. And he's like, he oftentimes will say the system doesn't dictate the process dictates the system. And so making the system work for us and how our business is operating and changing is something that he and his team are very, very good at.
So you're relatively early in the journey, and the company's only been around since 2023. So you're one of the first users. You're kind of at the end of the beginning phase, right? Beginning of the middle.
Yeah. Yep.
Good. And you feel like you're a sales guy. There's, it's about dollars and cents. From an ROI perspective, you feel like there's payoff and there's lift and there's increased productivity going on with your sales team and with your marketing efforts.
Yeah, I probably say this so much. When I was determining which CRM platform I was going to switch from our previous one, I interviewed builders, I interviewed people in the space, and people, it didn't matter what the name of the software was that they were using, they were very, very happy if they had a partner that was the expert in that software to help implement it for them. If they did it themselves, they hated it, and their salespeople hated it. And I think that was the key. And, thankfully, at least our leadership team agreed. They said, you know what, we can't manage this in-house. We need to get somebody that's going to be an expert partner for us on this journey and help us make some of these decisions and set it up the right way so it's best for the team to use.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. Josh, I think we're at the end of our journey here, and it's been extremely informative. And Brent, thank you so much for sharing your experiences. We'll see you next time on a Builder Innovator webcast.